It was a shift in the brain that changed everything, because the moment someone pays you for a knowledge that lives in your head, you realize you don't need permission, you need process. What if this discipline was turned into building something that replaced me? Because a lot of times in today's age, we need to focus on creating something that replaces us so we can be able to make money while we sleep. Don't chase money, build a machine that make money. What if I were to tell you that 5 years ago, when I first started my digital business, I would be able to make over $1,000 from my laptop? I would have probably laughed at myself, right? Because I wouldn't have thought it would be possible. Now, back then, I was heavily sleep deprived. I was mostly focused on, being one of the best officer in my unit, in my battalion, and in the Army, right? That's all I cared about. But here's the thing. I was overworked, sleep deprived, and most importantly, executing somebody else's mission. Now, a lot of times people ask me, what changed? Well, everything changed when I had one mindset shift. And here's the thing, that mindset shift is treat your life like a business and your business like a mission. This is a story of how I went from shifting my mindset to actually becoming a CEO, creating multiple businesses, working with multiple different people, and establishing myself in the digital entrepreneurship era. So stay tuned. Now, what made me shift that mindset was most importantly, waking up 4 or 5 in the morning, taking pre-workouts, caffeine, all these different things, just to have some level of energy so I can be able to start my journey in the Army and go sit in formation for about, 10, 15 minutes in the cold, listen to somebody else tell us what to do the whole day. Now, imagine this, you put on your uniform, put on your boots, and you do that every single day, but it doesn't bring you motivation. It doesn't make you overly happy, but it's stable, right? Because I did everything right. I went to school, I got a computer science degree, I became a commissioned officer, accomplished my dream. That was my dream. But having a stable paycheck, having respect, having rank, having structure, it's all good. But in my mind, it was a silent echo, right? That was saying to me, Lusene, are you comfortable or do you want to go after your calling? And I think that's something a lot of you are watching this video, I want you to pay attention to. When you get to a point where you're comfortable, you're accomplished something that you always wanted, it's time to now embark on going after your calling. So one morning, I looked at myself in the mirror and I said to myself, what if this discipline was turned into building something that replaced me? Because a lot of times in today's age, we need to focus on creating something that replaces us so we can be able to make money while we sleep. So that got me thinking, and that question haunted me for a long period of time. But I was so eager to start. And here's the thing, I didn't know where to start. I didn't have a huge capital because I had a stable paycheck. I drove a regular car, right? Now, I started with a conviction though. And that conviction was, hey, there has to be a way to make money while I sleep. While others were distracted scrolling on TikTok because it was popular then, while others were distracted on being the best officer, I was focused on learning how to copyright, email, product creation, and all these different things that I now do and I have teams do for me. So I built my first ebook and I was able to make over $9 to $29. Now, obviously that didn't change my life. That didn't make me into, that didn't free me from my job, Army at the time, but it shifted my mindset. It was a shift in the brain that changed everything, because the moment someone pays you for a knowledge that lives in your head, you realize you don't need permission, you need process. So here's the shift that happened. Don't chase money, build a machine that make money. Because here's the thing, most of us, what we do is we sell, we're heavy seller, but high achievers sell transformation. You have to adapt the ability to be able to transform your mind. So I stopped asking, how can I make $1,000 a week? And I started asking, what system could create $1,000 a week, whether I'm online or not? So it was system over speed and asset over activity. And I built my digital freedom flywheel that consists of 4 gears. And I'm going to tell you what it is. So because I built my digital flywheel that consists of 4 gears, I built my digital freedom flywheel that consists of 4 gears. And here is it: audience, offer, automation, and authority, right? So your audience are people who resonate with you. Your offer is a digital products that solves someone's problem. Automations is funnels, emails, DM that sells while you sleep. And lastly, authority is content that proves you live what you teach. So with those 4 gears turned together, it produces income. Now, here's a transparency. Let's talk about money, right? How do you make over $100 with that mindset shift? Well, you create a digital products, ebook, templates, and course. And you price it anywhere from $7.99 to $29.99, right? And you make sure it's 3 digital products that you offer a bundle. And you are trying to make about $35,000 on that. The next thing is you want to make sure you have a mentorship, So, or host a masterclass, and you want to be able to make at least $45,000 on that. Because if you can be able to make $45,000 on that, that's actually a good business model. Now, the last thing you need to do is you need to add in writing books and go into the consulting and speaking. And maybe in a year, you try to make at least $20,000 off speaking at multiple places, whether it's in the US or around the world. And you price you do your price range based off your value. That's a $100,000 business that just started with 1 ebook. Does that make sense, guys? But here's what matters: margin over money. Because I kept 70% of my profit while I was in the Army so I could reinvest in other things to help my brand presence. Because when I was making money on digital products, there was no warehouse, there was no boat, places that I get to keep anything. And ultimately, there was no office to rent. It was my apartment. I was making money from my apartment. I learned how to measure success, not by hustle, but by freedom hours, because I worked overnight. Overnight was the best time for me to work. And that's how you build a business that serves you for life, because this is what I do right now. And I'm just being honest. So how do you put the flywheel into motion? Well, content. Content build trust. Trust build traffic. Traffic build transaction. Transaction builds testimonials. Every month I pour in one field: ads, collaboration, new content series, and a momentum that compounded. So if you do those things, you're going to definitely make it if you do it consistently. But prior to actually achieving that, I actually want to discuss the mistakes that almost cost me the life that I'm living. The first thing is, guys, I copied other creators instead of crafting my own voice. Stop copying people too much. You can take certain ideas and mix your own. I built funnels without building a community. Learn to build a community. This is something that I still struggle with, but I'm continuously working on it. I focus on products before people. So I was able to create products prior to selling it to people. Here's a lesson: don't sell solutions you haven't lived. Authenticity converts faster than automation. So learn to be authentic with people. Now, how do I integrate traveling around the world, speaking in different countries? When I came to Nairobi, I realized something powerful. The next wave of digital wealth will be in Africa, not because of cheap labor, but because of the creative hunger. Every conversation, every street corner is a masterclass in resourcefulness. Does that make sense, guys? Because in Africa, it's so huge. The market here is huge. So I started learning a lot while living here in Kenya. So I localized my model where the dollar-based system made me money, but I build authority also in Kenya. So now I'm able to get paid in US dollars and in Kenya, right? So now I have built a dual offer: high ticket mentorship for global clients, affordable products for everyone around the world. And that bridge made me international. So the mind behind that model is discipline, which is something that I learned in the Army. Documentation: if it's not written, it's wasted. Delegation: you have to learn how to hire other people to do things for you. and direction. Every quarter has one measurable mission. So because chaos kills cash flow, you need to be specific about what you're doing. Now, I know it's a lot, right? That's a lot of information. Freedom is not just driving a Ferrari. Freedom is flexibility and living wherever you want to live. It's waking up when you are done sleeping, working with people you vacation with, and turning purpose into profit. That's actually freedom. The 100K a year model wasn't built just overnight. Definitely, it wasn't a finish line. It's a foundation. So now my mission is simple. I'm helping other people achieve the same thing that I have done by step and using system, right? So I want you to replicate my motto faster and cleaner. So if you watch this video this far, right, you've already have trait that most people lack, which is focus. Now go ahead and apply it. Start documenting your journey, your expertise, packages into a digital product, build one funnel, and commit to 90 days. Right? Because the gap between 9 to 5 and financial freedom is not luck. It's leverage. I leveraged the army to be financially free. And that, my friend, is how I built the business.